the affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre time.
King Charles is battling with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to convince the Yorks to move out of the Royal Lodge.
President Trump weighed in on the whole Andrew scandal overnight.
A swift number of charities that came forward very quickly in a short amount of time to distance themselves from Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York.
Several charities have cut ties with Sarah Ferguson. This is because of an email she reportedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, calling him a supreme friend.
Is Fergie really finally clearing off?
People close to Sarah Ferguson are genuinely worried about her current state of mind. The woman once celebrated as the vibrant life of the royal party is now reportedly spending her nights alone, hiding away in a secret bar concealed behind Royal Lodge called the Doghouse. The former Duchess of York is said to be drinking heavily, crying frequently, becoming hysterical, and confiding desperately in remaining staff members as she faces imminent eviction from her Windsor home, alongside growing paranoia that mysterious dark forces could potentially target her family. Meanwhile, her ex-husband Prince Andrew, now thoroughly stripped of his titles and public dignity, is reportedly pacing endlessly through the 30-room mansion, ranting to himself as the walls of his privileged royal life systematically come crashing down around him. Together, yet fundamentally apart, they're counting down their final days at Royal Lodge. And what's emerging from insider accounts is a deeply troubling portrait of chaos, consuming fear, and lives visibly unraveling in real time. Sarah's daughters are reportedly so concerned about their parents' deteriorating mental health that they've maintained contact despite wanting to freeze them out entirely. They're genuinely cross and angry with their parents, yet simultaneously so worried about where their psychological state is heading that they can't bring themselves to cut contact completely. So let's examine the final troubled weeks of Andrew and Fergie's life together at Royal Lodge, and the shocking fears now consuming the woman once known as the Duchess of York.
This is the worst look Fergie has ever had.
An extraordinary splash from the Mail on Sunday are world class when it comes to royal stories. Fergie's Epstein lies exposed in bombshell email.
So damaging about this email is that it actually highlights the cynicism in which she's approached this.
King Charles is very keen to move Andrew and his ex-wife Fergie on. He doesn't want them to live there anymore.
Ever-evolving soap opera, that is, of course, what's happening over at Royal Lodge.
The layers of duplicity and shallowness, this is a new low.
I've read that Charles will somewhat try and ring-fence Beatrice and Eugenie as his nieces.
Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park has long symbolised privilege, privacy, and royal historical continuity. Once serving as home to the late Queen Mother, it became Andrew and Sarah's shared residence following their divorce in the 1990s. Despite their formal separation, they lived together contentedly for over 2 decades, publicly calling it their family home and describing themselves as the happiest divorced couple in existence. But those comfortable days are now definitively numbered. King Charles has issued firm orders that they both must vacate the historic estate by the new year. Prince Andrew will reportedly be relocated to a considerably smaller property on the Sandringham estate, while Sarah has been bluntly told to make her own independent living arrangements. The pair now spend most of their days physically apart, living at opposite ends of the sprawling 30-room house. They only convene for evening dinner, where sources say conversations invariably turn emotional, tense, and increasingly paranoid. Fergie, insiders claim with concern, is actively panicking about what's coming next and terrified about her daughter's reputations being dragged through public mud alongside their parents' scandals. Behind Royal Lodge's main structure lies a private, purpose-built bar known among remaining staff members as the Doghouse. It's here, according to multiple insiders, that Sarah Ferguson retreats nightly to pour her heart out over glasses of wine, leaning heavily on the few staff members who have remained personally loyal to her despite everything.
He's living in disgrace. He was stripped of his royal duties, and part of that is he's not really being paid by the monarchy anymore because he doesn't complete any royal duties.
They shouldn't pay for the sins of the parents, clearly, but I wouldn't expect them to have any front and centre row. Don't expect to see them on the the palace.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really sting.
Oh, I've got to say the King and Queen may be in Rome, but they just can't escape the ongoing scandals surrounding Prince Andrew, can they?
The reports are that King Charles has vowed to protect Beatrice and Eugenie.
What's happened with Andrew losing his title and now her losing Duchess of York, it just proves that the York brand is totally toxic.
One source described the situation bluntly. She's hiding away from reality. She talks for hours, sometimes through tears, about how everything's falling apart around her. She's genuinely terrified about what will happen when they're finally forced to move out. It's a dramatic fall from grace for the woman who once graced international magazine covers and represented British royalty abroad. Now she reportedly spends her evenings drinking with household staff, venting extensively about dark forces she believes are conspiring against them, and desperately asking friends to stay late just to keep her company through the lonely hours. Her paranoia, according to those close to the situation, has grown increasingly intense and difficult to manage. She fears being caught in dangerous crosshairs, not merely by the relentless media, but by powerful people she believes might still be watching their movements carefully. While Fergie hides away in the doghouse bar, Prince Andrew reportedly spends his days muttering to himself, pacing through the long corridors of Royal Lodge like a ghost haunting the scene of his own dramatic downfall. A staff member shared candidly, Andrew rarely goes out anymore. He pads around the house endlessly, ranting to himself, replaying everything that's happened. He's angry, he's bitter, and he's deeply embarrassed. Those close to him say the loss of his royal titles and his once sterling reputation has fundamentally broken him psychologically. Once known for arrogance and entitlement, he's now a man consumed by fear and public humiliation. Even his relationship with his daughters has become noticeably strained under the crushing weight of continuing scandals. Royal observers believe we'll likely see some fracturing in the relationship with Beatrice and Eugenie. The daughters are going to try distancing themselves more publicly, and there's even speculation they may eventually renounce their princess titles to escape the toxic association. Despite their parents' insistence that the past is firmly behind them, new troubling claims have thrust Beatrice and Eugenie directly into the uncomfortable spotlight. Reports surfaced alleging that years ago, Sarah Ferguson took her daughters to visit Jeffrey Epstein shortly after his release from prison. An alleged 2011 email from Epstein to his lawyer claimed that Sarah was the first to celebrate his release and had visited him with her two daughters in tow. Sarah has strongly denied this allegation, insisting neither she nor her daughters have any recollection whatsoever of such a visit occurring. Still, the allegations have left Fergie visibly shaken. The thought that Beatrice and Eugenie could be publicly linked to Epstein, even indirectly or tangentially, is reportedly her greatest fear. She feels personally responsible for dragging them into a nightmare not of their making. Friends say Sarah's anxiety has spiraled completely out of control. She's terrified that hidden secrets could resurface dramatically, or that new damaging information might come to light, as Andrew faces renewed scrutiny from US Congress members demanding answers about his Epstein ties. Even her sister Jane has flown in from Australia to be by her side, reportedly deeply concerned about Sarah's deteriorating state of mind. One insider described her as massively on edge, saying she's developed a pervasive sense of paranoia that everyone is actively out to get her. Her fears aren't entirely unfounded given the circumstances. Public sympathy has all but completely evaporated. Most Britons view the pair as disgraced hangers-on, desperately clinging to royal privilege even as the monarchy moves forward without them. The only bright spots remaining in their collapsing world are their two daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, and their beloved corgis, Sandy and Muick. The dogs, according to insiders, will be kept within the family, moving between Andrew and Sarah in an unspoken custody arrangement that mirrors their own strange relationship. The corgis are known as national treasures, and both Andrew and Sarah are extremely protective of them. Beatrice and Eugenie, meanwhile, are said to be extremely worried about their mother's emotional well-being. Both women have families of their own now, and while they remain privately protective of Sarah, they're also weary of being drawn deeper into their parents' never-ending scandals and negative media coverage. Royal Lodge represented more than just a physical home for Fergie. It symbolised belonging, a place where she could still feel connected to the monarchy even decades after her divorce. For Andrew, it represented his last remaining shred of royal status and dignity. Now, as their eviction looms closer, they face very different and uncertain futures. Andrew will retreat to a smaller property on the Sandringham estate, thoroughly stripped of power and prestige. Sarah's future is considerably less certain. She's hinted at wanting another royal residence, but those days are definitively over. There's speculation she could relocate to London or even abroad, but her fear of being without royal security protection makes that scenario unlikely. The uncomfortable truth is, neither seems emotionally ready to live without the other's presence. Yet staying together, even under one roof, is proving psychologically unbearable for both. This is the final act of a once glittering royal fairy tale that's transformed into tragedy. The former Duke and Duchess of York, once the toast of the 1980s, are now pariahs of the modern monarchy. Their every move is watched critically, their mistakes replayed endlessly, their legacy rewritten unfavorably. Fergie's paranoia and Andrew's isolation speak to two people consumed by fear and uncertainty. They're relics of a royal era that no longer exists, desperately clinging to what little remains of their influence and relevance. As they pack their belongings and prepare to leave Royal Lodge for the last time, one thing is absolutely certain. The curtain has fallen on the House of York as we knew it. The question now is what comes next for these two damaged people, and whether Sarah's fears about dark forces have any basis in reality or represent the final unraveling of a woman who once had everything. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.